Hello, my name is Bano. I'm doctor in nursing. I'm a midwife. I'm a lactation consultant, IBCLC. Here at the Best Beginning, we want to promote health. For us, it's so important to train the parents, give them all the information they need for their parenthood. As mother, I know how important can be trained and have enough information. Once you have your baby, especially when you have your first child, you can be lost. You can find that you need more information, and that's why it's so important to have the right training during your pregnancy. That's why I'm doing childbirth preparation, and as a midwife and doctor in nursing, we are doing many activities, prenatal activities for new future families. And once they have their child, I help them through their breastfeeding journey. I help them if they have any issue, any problem, and of course, if we find the problem, we will try to find the best way to resolve that issue. We encourage the mothers to breastfeed, and we promote health and we promote breastfeeding because we believe it's the best way to help your family to keep your baby healthy, and we are passionate about breastfeeding. To increase milk supply, you have two ways. One is by stimulation, and second way is by galactogogues. The first way is the stimulation. It's the most important way because the more you breastfeed, the more milk you will produce. You can stimulate your breast by breastfeeding or by pumping. Every time you are breastfeeding, there is a sign goes to your brain and says you have to produce more milk. So every time you are breastfeeding as much as your baby needs or you are pumping, you will receive that message and then you will produce more milk. The second way is by using galactogogues. Galactogogues are herbs or medication that can increase your prolactin levels. Prolactin is one of the hormones involved in breastfeeding. So if you increase prolactin, you will increase your milk supply. The natural way can be natural galactogogues as fenugreek, herbs like banana blossom or oats or papaya. There are many natural galactogogues that you can take it, some supplements, and you can combine in your diet. You can combine even with the stimulation. And also you have other galactogogues that are medication as motilium. This medication is designed for stomach problem, but the side effect of this medication is that increase your prolactin levels. For that medication, you need your doctor prescription, so it's so important to follow your doctor advices. There are three ways to know if your baby is getting enough milk. First is by checking your baby's behavior. So, looks your baby satisfied after breastfeeding? Is the baby relaxed, sleeping after the feed? Is the baby relaxed in the bed with the hands open, or is the baby with the hands closed, looking for more, looking for the hands after the feed? If the baby looks satisfied, relaxed, and sleep after the feed, probably the baby is well fed. The second way is by checking the number of feeds in 24 hours and checking the number of nappies. So the baby should drink from 8 to 12 times in 24 hours. It depends on the mommy's breast capacity, and also it depends on the babies. The babies are going to drink more or less time, and this is something that can change. At the beginning, some babies can drink 12 times in 24 hours, and maybe after a couple of weeks or a couple of months, the baby will drink just 8 or even 6 times per day. But at the beginning, you have to check that your baby should drink from 8 to 12 times in 24 hours. You have to check also the number of nappies. So how many wet nappies, how many dirty nappies. The color of the nappy is quite important too. The baby should increase the number of wet nappies as long as the baby is growing until 1 week. After that will be more or less the same amount. And the baby should poo at the beginning, the first 1 to 2 days, a small amount, maybe 1 or 2 dirty nappies, black color. The texture is quite sticky. After 1 to 2 days, the baby will change the poo to green, a little bit brown or green, and after that will change to yellow. You have to check that your baby is making poos and the color is quite the same, and also the number of nappies are quite the same. Also, you have to check your baby's weight. So this is the third way to know if your baby is getting enough milk. By going to your pediatrician or your clinic, to your well baby clinic, and then checking regularly your baby's weight. You shouldn't wake up your baby to feed him or her. Your baby should let you know when is the best moment to drink. You should feed your baby on demand. That means every time the baby is hungry, just feed your baby. Observe your baby's signs, especially the first signs of hunger. When the baby is looking for the hands, the baby is starting to make the first sounds, is the best moment to start feeding. Don't wait until the baby is crying or is too hungry, because it's going to be more difficult. It's so important to know that you shouldn't wake up your baby unless your baby is not following the other 3 points that we mentioned before. If your baby is not drinking from 8 to 12 times per day, your baby is not peeing or pooing enough, or your baby is not putting on weight, at that point you should follow your doctor advice and maybe you should wake up your baby. Another exception is when your baby is sick. If a baby is sick, for example, have diabetes or jaundice, or your baby is premature, in certain occasions we should wake up the baby to make sure that the baby is having enough milk. I recommend to wait at least 4 to 6 weeks, because it's when breastfeeding is usually well established. But for certain occasions you can have some issues or some problems. At that point, maybe you have to pump before that. So you can pump as soon as you have your baby if you have problems as bad latch, nipples are painful, or the baby must be in another place, you cannot stay with your baby, or you have some medical issues and you cannot breastfeed for a while. Just to maintain your breast production, is good to pump since the beginning. Or, for example, if you are not producing enough milk, at that point, maybe you have to combine breastfeeding and also stimulation with the pump to increase your milk supply or top up your baby with breast milk. Actually, it's not necessary to use a nursing bra. If you have a nursing bra, it's more comfortable and more convenient because it's designed for breastfeeding mummies. But if you have other kind of bras, it's also fine. Just make sure that your bra is not too tight and also have no hoops. The short answer is yes. It's not the first time we see mummies breastfeeding and pregnant at the same time. But if you are fully breastfeeding your baby, especially for the first 6 months, your hormones are quite high, especially prolactin. And prolactin is going to control the hormones involved in ovulation and menstruation that are, for example, estrogen. So if you are breastfeeding regularly, probably you are not going to ovulate or you are not going to menstruate. But if you are having a big break in between feeds, or your baby is sleeping for so long and then your prolactin levels drop down, then probably your estrogens will start to rise. At that point you can ovulate. And the thing is that you are never sure if you are ovulating or not until you don't have your menstruation, because ovulation is coming before the menstruation. So there is no way to know if you are going to be pregnant or not. So it's always better to find another contraceptive method that is compatible with breastfeeding rather than being a risk.